This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Farming Simulator 22 Map First Impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at the Estancia São Carlos map. This map can be found over at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Let's read just a brief bit of the description. Estancia São Carlos is a Brazilian map based on a region in Brazil. The map has 26 medium to large fields, all with missions. The map has a machine shop, and in the city, you can find production points such as a bakery, carpentry, grape work, plus a market which accepts various products. The map includes a biogas plant, and most of your grains, potatoes, sugar beets, and sugarcane can be sold at one of 3 different warehouses present on the map. Bales in general can be sold at the Bale sell point next to Warehouse 2, and the sawmill is for selling wood and plank production. To sell milk, go to the dairy. In this area is a production point for milk derivatives. The main farm has 2 sheds to store your machinery, plus a house for sleeping, pasture for sheep and chickens, as well as a fuel and water tank. There is also a secondary farm which features a large shed for machinery, plus a house and a large pasture for cows. With that, let's go ahead and jump on in. We are going to go ahead and keep the field lease, field calculator, additional game settings, and additional field info checked. Let's go ahead and pull up the log and watch the map load on in. I did load this map up in farm manager mode, and I can tell you when you do that, the map will load up with no machinery other than the pickup truck. The farms exist exactly how you see them here in new farmer mode, meaning that the buildings are pre-placed, but you can indeed sell every single building on the main farm. So right to the point, can the farms be customized? Yes, they can be. They are pre-built, but you can delete and place down any of the buildings that you should so wish. So here we are at our career start point. When we load on into the map, we load up right here at the John Deere dealership. And from this point, we can either jump in our pickup truck and drive down to our starting farm, or start purchasing some additional equipment. Let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA. As the description said, this map includes several large and medium-sized fields. If we go ahead and take a look at the lands area, you'll see we start out by owning field 7 and the main farm here. That is 25.8 acres in size and can be bought for $417,632 if you start on a play mode other than New Farmer. Down here in the south, we have the secondary farm, which is 37 acres in size and can be bought for $605,000. For the most part, you can buy pretty much every plot of land on the map. I have identified 2 areas that you cannot buy. That would be this area right here, which is a sawmill, and this area right here, which is the biogas plant. For whatever reason, you can't buy the land, but you can pretty much buy everything else on the map. You can buy the main interstate for $132,000. You can buy the secondary road here for $66,000. You can buy the shop, should you so wish. We also have a soccer field, aka football field, right behind the shop that you could buy. And then within the town itself, there are several small buyable plots that you could buy and roleplay to have that as kind of your farmhouse, sleep trigger, etc. Let's go ahead and just take a look at some of the field prices. Field 20 is 99.95 acres in size. That is $1.6 million. And then we have a smaller field. This grab field 1, which is 25 acres in size and $406,000. We do have all of our standard crop types available to us here on Farm Sim 22, available on the map. We take a look at our crop calendar. We can see that we do indeed have the generic crop calendar. Now, it is listed in the description that there is no snow on the map in the winter, as this region is not cold. It says the region is only cold and dry. So I guess it does get cold, but it doesn't snow in the wintertime because it just doesn't get wet enough. If we take a look at our prices screen, you're going to see that we can indeed sell everything that we can grow on the map at one of several different sell points. We can also sell our eggs, wool, and milk. And then when we get down here to silage, hay, straw, and grass, we have multiple sell points for those. And then we also have the ability to sell every single base game production item on the map, regardless if there are production points pre-placed for those or not. The map includes a bulk lime buy point as well as the stone crusher as well. Take a look at our starting equipment. It is all brand new. None of it is leased. We do not have any animals in our chicken or sheep pasture at the start. We do have contracts available on the map, and we do not own any production chains on the map at the start. Speaking of production chains, the map includes the BGA, grape processing, sawmill, dairy, carpentry, and baconry pre-placed. So I'm going to go ahead and give the map a full point with regards to that. Let's go ahead and take a look at our starting equipment. We start out owning the New Holland T6 125 tractor and the Valtra 8750, as well as the Massey Ferguson 3670 medium tractors. We have the John Deere T560 harvester that is paired up with the 625X grain header, as well as the 608C corn row header. We have a N6035 Nardi header trailer also for our harvester. We have the 1986 pickup truck and the Brantner DD 24073/2 XXL trailer, as well as the Welker DK115 trailer. As far as plows go, we have the Agrimaz POV 5XL plow. We have the Horse Joker 4CT disc harrow, the Lemken Azurit 9 planter. We have the Hardy Mega 1200L 3-point hitch fertilize and herbicide sprayer. We have the Amazon ZGTS 10001 fertilize spreader. This will not do lime. This will only do fertilizer. We have the Joskin Aquatrans 7300S water trailer. And then we have a trio of 600 kilogram front weights. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to tab down to the starting farm, and then we'll do our farm tour from here. See, we have a large shed with several bits of our machinery in here, and as I said earlier, all of these buildings can be sold if we wish to. Nice lean-to here on the side with some additional storage options. We have a sheep pasture, a custom sheep pasture. This particular sheep pasture will hold 60 sheep. Then we have our food trough and our water trough located right here. Now, I am not seeing necessarily the wool spawn point. Let's see if it's inside of here. It is marked inside of here, so that is good to see. We have then our chicken coop, custom chicken coop, 200 chickens in this particular coop. We have our food trough and our egg spawn point. In addition to all the buildings being able to be sold, we can sell the fencing here as one unit. And interesting enough, this pole right here, we can sell this pole right here. We can't sell the pole at the corner, but we can sell this pole right here. We have our farmhouse sleep trigger. And then around the side, we have our wardrobe. And then this little building over here is just decorative. Here we have a water tower storage point. Another large open shed. And then we have our fuel, which is currently empty. But this is our diesel tank for storing and refueling. And that is pretty much the main farm. Now let's go ahead and go into the build mode, because I do want to show you that we can put down pretty much everything that is pre-placed here. So we have 3 custom easy sheds. This one is the one with the doors. $60,000. Here we have the open easy shed, $40,000. And then we have another large shed, which we will see over at the secondary farm, that we can also get for $50,000. No custom silos or silo extensions. We do have the ability to place our fuel tank, as well as 2 different water tanks. And then this one is going to be down at the secondary farm. Under farmhouses, we have our custom farmhouse that is down at the secondary farm, as well as the farmhouse that is here at the main farm that we could also put down. No custom production, selling points, greenhouses, orchards, or generators. Those are all base game items, but we do have a custom cow pen, which we will see here in a little bit down at the secondary farm. $300,000 for that. We have a custom sheep pen, as we have here on this farm. And we have the custom chicken area also, as we have on this farm, that we can put down. All of the decorative items are base game, and if we take a look at our textures, these are all conforming to the new texture standard of having a 3D depth to them. But let's go ahead and check those out. First one we put down is just the dirt, the bare dirt. Then we have our animal mud, our concrete. We have a wet ground, forest ground, grass, and then our gravel. With that, let's go ahead and get set up for the fly around. We'll fly around the map, check out the secondary farm during the fly around. Then we'll come back up to the shop where we will get our Mahindra and drive around to the various points of interest. As we get a little altitude, we can see that the map does have a little bit of elevation terrain changes. The map is not overly hilly, but we do have some nice rolling fields and hills all along. I'll also comment that we have a pretty darn good map border, in my opinion. In fact, during the cursory look of the map, I found myself flying straight into the map border without necessarily realizing that I was going towards the map border. So that is one sign that the map border is pretty darn good. When you run into it and you don't even realize that you are going toward it. Let's go ahead and make our way down to the south. That is where we're going to find our secondary farm, again down by field 17. As I said at the start of the map, the farms are completely pre-placed in all play modes, but you can sell everything and anything you want. And I think the map also includes maybe a slightly different texture or color to the ground. Here we have plowed ground. You see, it's not that deep, dark, earthen color that we have on on Elm Creek and Holt Bale. For the most part, most of the fields are not fenced, but there are going to be a few fields here and there that do have fencing, and the fencing does have collisions, so that is something to pay attention to. Here we have the secondary farm. All of the triggers will activate once you own the land. So once we own the land, we will see a trigger here for our water tank. And we will see our appropriate triggers for our cow areas. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and buy all of the farmland, since we've already seen that we can do contracts. And then I'll show you where those particular triggers are located. Just like that, we now own the entire map. We have our animal delivery point for our cows. 80 cows in this particular pen. That's what we are going to be able to store. We have our food trough. We are required to provide water for these cows. We have our milk trigger located right there. It does not appear that we have a slurry trigger. So we will probably want to put down a manure bin or possibly a slurry pit. Let's even just check. Let's just check. So it doesn't look like slurry is going to be something that we can get, but we should be able to put manure down. Actually, it doesn't. They don't even take straw, so no, I don't think we're going to get manure either out of these picker cows. So here we have our water tank. The large Easy Shed 3 that I mentioned is pre-placed down here. And then we have our secondary sleep trigger located right there. And then we have the, I believe the wardrobe trigger is around back. We have a silage bunker here on this particular farm, and as I said earlier, all of these things can be sold, should you so wish, including the fence here. And then you have a completely wide open secondary farm to do what you want with. So if we talk about our map ratings, we have 6 different production items built in, so the map is going to get a full point on regard to that. We have a full point with respect to being able to sell all of our crops, base game production, and animal outputs. Here we have one of our sell points. And we're going to get a full point also for the farms being completely customizable. Here we have a sell point at our animal dealer and the animal dealer itself. Our stone crusher is located right there. I believe we have a bulk line buy point down there in the corner of the map also. In fact, this is the map border that I flew right on into. Because I wasn't thinking that was a map border. I was like, oh, that's the map border way over there. Let me just fly over and see what those buildings are. And then I came to a complete stop. Because I didn't have the PDA up to realize that I was actually looking right at the map border. Then here we have a sell point as well as the custom dairy. We'll take a closer look at the dairy when we get to our fly around. Here we have the biogas plant. That includes 2 large bunkers. Another grain sell point. As I said, behind the shop we have a nice football field set up. And then here are the various plots that you can buy in town. Now, I don't think if you buy these plots, you're going to be able to sell the buildings that are there, but we can check. I think what it does do is it means that you could put down a placeable sleep trigger if you didn't have a sleep trigger at the main farm, if you sold that house. And then you'd be able to then pretty much role play that you have kind of a house here in town. We have a fuel station, and then we have a sell point, our sawmill. We have our grape processing. We have a custom bakery, and then we have a custom carpentry shop. So let's come back here to the shop, and that's where we're going to get our Mahindra and drive around to all of these other areas and take a little bit of a closer look. I did be a little remiss. We do have, under others, we do have a placeable ramp, and we do have 2 decorative houses here under decoration under others. I had forgotten about that earlier. So inside, we have our shop trigger. Let's go ahead and get that Mahindra. We have a very large area here for our machinery to spawn in at. If we go down here to our field calculator, you're going to see that our field sizes are fairly big. We got a few in the 6 hectare range, 25.96, 14, 11 hectares, 15, 38, 22 and a half. So the fields are fairly decent in size. So you're probably going to be looking to buy some fairly large machinery. Then as far as the field costs go, we've got $296,000 for 7.42 hectares. 33.83 is $1.3 million. 10 hectares is $400,000. 40 hectares is $1.6 million. Here we have $985,000. So kind of an interest, and then these are the various plots in town that you can buy for relatively cheap. We have our customized repair, sell, and trade trigger right here at the shop. And we also have a nice placeable ramp here at the shop that you could also use to load up flatbeds. So that is pretty neat. Or if you're like me, you might just want to try to jump off of it. Here in town, we do have our fuel located right here. We have a grocery style sell point located also in town. And it is listed as conveniently supermarket. We have a custom sawmill over here. So we have our log dump station right there. We have our log sell icon over there. We have our wood chip point. We have our pallet spawn point and our interactive icon located right there. Across the street, we have the base game grape processing facility. Then we have a custom bakery located right here, West Hill Bread. And West Hill Bread, we have our dump station, our pallet spawn point, and interactive trigger around the back. And then we have a custom carpentry located right here, where we have our dump station for our logs, our pallet, our log cell icon located right there. We then have our pallet spawn point for our furniture and our interactive icon. Kind of like how we've got the decorative bits in here. There is some general background sounds associated with the production of furniture also inside that particular building. Now, with respect to buildings using the new texture technique, I looked around at pretty much every building on the map, and I had a hard time telling if they were or weren't. I do not think that the buildings overall are using, for the most part, the new texture technique. There are a few buildings that are brought over, some of the silos and such, that are brought over from FS22, so those indeed are. But some of these buildings, or most of these buildings, are custom, and I don't think they are using the new technique. I might be wrong, but they just don't look quite right like they are. But I have to say, they do stand up very, very well to a close inspection. So personally, I don't feel that they are using outdated textures. I just don't think they're quite using the texturing technique to give that 3D look. So I am going to give the map a half a point on that regard. Not a huge knock on the map. Definitely we are not using super old buildings that you really don't want to get up close to because they get blurry. All of the textures do hold up very, very well to close inspection. Here we have our digester. We have our dump point for our slurry or manure. and the digester, and then we have our pickup point for our digestate. We have two three-sided base game silage pits right here. Do have a fair bit of traffic on the map. We've kind of already gotten hit a few times by traffic. Now this is a rather interesting kind of interchange here. Move on to warehouse 1. Scale. And we have our dump station. And if we take the road to our right, we would eventually be able to go to our main farm. So we're going to instead take a left. And I think we're going to try this intersection out. So we need to go back this direction. To the custom dairy. Here we are at our custom dairy operation. And the dump station for the milk. We have our pallet spawn point for our dairy products and our interactive icon. Go ahead and just check on the name of this particular sell point. This is not the retriever. Silly. This is warehouse 3. There was warehouse 1 that we've already been to. Bale sell point. Warehouse 2 is then going to be where we're going to be headed to next. Right, let's go ahead and jump on into the in-cab view as we drive down to warehouse 3. Just taking a look across the land. There you can see warehouse 3 off in the distance. Shouldn't be too hard on the machinery to work these larger fields, which means you should be able to maybe be a little underpowered on your tractor to the implement horsepower rating. Whoa, buddy. See how well traffic is moving along. Traffic's moving along at a very good clip. Here we are moving to 52. And we are not really catching up to that vehicle in front of us very fast, so we're not going to have issues with slow moving traffic, that is for sure. Looking back across the hillsides there and just taking a look at how the land lays. Here we have the Bale sell point. And overall, with respect to are the player triggers clearly marked, yes. We're going to give the map a full point on that regard also for having clearly marked triggers. I was a little worried there initially. We didn't have any markings for the wool spawn point, but we opened up the garage and, well, there they were. So players shouldn't have too much issue in figuring out where things are, which is key to a map. Players shouldn't have to be hunting around and trying to figure out where things are. That's just going to lead to frustration. So here we have another one of our warehouses. And if you take this road right here, it is going to eventually take you over to that secondary farm. And that, oh, you can see the X's pop up. Right there's your map border, folks. That is how good this map border is. Really good job on the map border. Here we have a bit of a empty area. You could buy this and possibly populate it with even more production. It is a buyable piece of land. Or you can carve it up and introduce it into another field. And we have the cooperative sell point down here at the animal dealer. And then have our animal dealer trigger located right there. And then our final point of interest is going to be over here, where we have our stone crusher. And basically looking at the description, it says, if you need limestone, bring a trailer of stones to sell to the limestone merchant. Okay, so my guess is, we're going to validate this here in a moment, but we have our stone crusher, obviously for selling of our stones. And then the limestone merchant is going to be right here. Let's just validate that we can buy the lime. There we are, just bought ourselves some nice lime. So that is gonna do us. Now let's summarize as we close out this video. We're gonna give the map a full point with respect to production because we have 6 different productions built in. We do have an area right down here, kind of in the southeast of the map, that you could flatten out and put down more production should you so wish. So we're going to give the map a full point on that regard. We're going to give the map a full point with respect to being able to sell all the base game crops, production products, as well as animal outputs. So that is 2 points out of 5 so far. We're going to give the map a full point with respect to can the farms be customized? Because while the buildings are pre-placed in all play modes, you can easily sell any and all of the buildings on either farm in order to basically have a complete start from scratch type scenario. In Farm Manager or Start from Scratch, you do not have any machinery or any vehicles or machinery at the start other than the pickup truck. You own the pickup truck in all play modes. Buildings where appropriate are using the new texture technique. That is where the map's going to get a little bit of a knock because I don't think these new buildings are using the new texture technique overall. Now they have pretty good textures, but when you get up close to them, it just looks like it's a flat texture that has some contour look to it, but it's not really actually contoured. And the same can be said over here for these decorative houses and farmhouses. So we're going to give the map a half a point on that regard, but still these textures hold up pretty darn good nonetheless. And then with respect to the interactive triggers being clearly marked, Yes, they are indeed clearly marked, so the map is going to get a full point on that regard. So we are talking about a map here with 4.5 out of 5. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on what you think of the Estancia São Carlos map. And until next time, happy farming.